Cowboys Report Mailbag coming at you. I am Tom Downey. $5 from Jaelan Phillips. A very simple thanks. Jason, I appreciate that. Thank you for watching. If you don't already know, we're going to do weekly raffles for every single Cowboys game this season. If you want entered into our weekly raffle, all you have to do is send in a $5 super thanks, and you are entered to win. $5 gets you one entry. $10 gets you 3 entries, like Rich Porter Trey, his $10 super thanks. Would it be possible and or worth it to trade for Haason, Reddick, or Devin White? Maybe a Chubb or Phillips out of Miami. Big fan of the show. Thank you, Rich. Good question. I like this one a lot. So in order, not in order, but in of all the players here, Devin White, first off, I think he's bad. Devin White is just Kenneth Murray, where great athlete, doesn't really know where the ball's going consistently, has been a bit of a drama queen before, kind of bouncing around teams right now. I don't think Devin White's an upgrade, so I'm going to pass on White. Haason Reddick does intrigue me. I am curious how things will end up going in Tampa Bay. Tampa's probably going to be a contender, so unless you want to just wildly overpay for Haason, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. The Miami guys are very intriguing as possible names because Miami has some edge depth. Jaelan Phillips, they spent a first-round pick on Chop Robinson. They have Bradley Chubb. They traded for Matthew Judon. The contracts are a bit interesting. Jaelan Phillips is owed, I think it's like $13 million in his fifth-year option. You have the money if you want to, but at that point for like a year, you're kind of like in danger of just spending your Micah savings on Phillips and Clark, which maybe that's worth it for you. But that gets a little expensive. Bradley Chubb did just get a renegotiated contract. I'm looking at this right now live with the Dolphins. They save a little bit of money by trading him, but I don't think they would have done that if they had just wanted to trade him. So you could try one of those guys, but I think the Dolphins are a good fit because they might be bad this year. And if they are bad, that's the type of team you should be calling about because you might be able to get a player on a deal in a sale. So predictions between now and the NFL trade deadline. Will the Cowboys end up making a trade? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Will the Cowboys end up making a trade? From Rich, #Cowboys, does better linebacker play make that pass rush look better? I think better linebacker play probably makes your run defense and like stopping Jalen Hurts scrambles look better. I think that the biggest issue the Cowboys faced with the pass rush was they just didn't capitalize on their opportunities. They had chances to bring down Hurts, and they didn't keep their rush lanes. They got outside the pocket. So I saw some elements of promise and elements of, okay, it needs to be better still. So I'm not going to panic on the Cowboys pass rush quite yet. I am a little bit worried about that linebacking core. I hope that they give Maurice Leafau a chance to play more. I thought he was very good in that in the preseason. When we've seen him last year, I thought he showed some real promise. I think there's more upside than the Kenneth Murray, Jack Sanborn, Damone Clark combination. I think that they can do more there. But I don't know if it directly impacts the pass rush, but I think it will help your run game and your defense as a unit. And that also might put your pass rush in a better spot. From Rogue Rays, I don't know. Can't wait for them to put BTA on the Giants next week. I hope they do. I have said this before. I will crash out if the Cowboys don't take care of business against the Giants. That is a game that they should win. They should not get ahead of themselves. They absolutely should win that game. We'll be live for it, of course, by the way. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. Prize Picks is simple to play. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You get those picks right, you could cash in. It is the best way to get action on sports in more than 40-plus states, including California, Georgia, and Texas, by the way. This is one of my Week 1 Prize Picks lineups coming up here with kickoff not too far away. Jaden Daniels, more than passing yards. Brian Thomas Jr., more than receiving yards. And then for Monday night, how about a Justin Jefferson touchdown? More than a half, so the 1. Go download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. Stephen Goltz, were you surprised by the small amount of penalties the Cowboys got? I guess. Eagles were a bit more penalty happy. I think it's a win. I don't know if surprise is maybe the right term, but I'm happy with it. I had hoped that they were going to be more disciplined. Hopefully it continues. I don't want to call it a victory quite yet. $5 super chat from Spencer. Very impressed with the coaching schemes. Defense played lights out in the second half. Saquon is a demon in the second half, and the Cowboys held him to just 11 yards. I thought they made some good adjustments on defense. The offensive game plan seemed to work pretty well, but I don't blame the coaching staff when the wide receiver, your number one receiver, your best player, drops passes. I'm not gonna blame the staff for that. I definitely liked what I saw. Second half wise defense, still some room for improvement. I didn't love just dropping zone, having no one on Hurts, but they stopped them for the most part. All right, Chase Garvin, a $5 super chat. Is it just me, or would anyone like to see Flournoy more than Tolbert? Better athletic potential, and I need some better blocking. Poor from Tolbert. Yeah, look, Tolbert didn't do much of anything, and that's always the red flag, right? The one time you noticed him outside of the check down catch was when he kind of just didn't do a good job blocking on the one little Turpin bubble. Tolbert was just a guy last night, and it's not what I'm aiming for. I need more out of Tolbert. I'm not going to get mad in Tolbert, but I do expect to get a little bit more from him in games and not be as disappointing. They didn't try Flournoy. You can keep playing KaVontae Turpin. That would not upset me, but I do think the Cowboys needed to have more success from Tolbert in the chances that he had. He didn't do enough, and that's frankly disappointing there. So I'm hoping for more out of him as we continue to move forward. So, Teddy Two Gloves. Could Dallas aim for a trade for a better running back like Taylor if the Colts stink? I think if the Colts stink is a very valid question. The Colts are in a weird spot where there is new regime now. The front office is probably going to have to coach and fight for their job. The coach is going to have to do it as well. If they don't win games and they trade away their best player, or at least one of their best players, that kind of becomes like you're signing your own pink slip. Teams don't do that. You can call. Taylor's not that cheap. He hasn't. He's gotten paid, but the next team, in this case the Cowboys, would owe him a pretty good amount. So I wouldn't presume that he would be expensive or worthwhile for a big pick, and you might have to give a big pick. So you can call. I don't know how available he's going to be, but he'd definitely help your offense out in a pretty big way. All right, name a player who you want the Cowboys to add. Could be via trade, could be via free agency. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Z. Williams, a $5 super chat over the fact that Micah is gone. Can't get over the feeling we could have traded some picks to get Kenny Clark and to pay Micah. Early pick, maybe. Kenny Clark was only available because you traded away Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons was only available for the Packers because they traded away Kenny Clark. You could have thrown 2 first-round picks at Kenny Clark and gotten him. That's not a good trade, though. I would do that maybe for Dexter Lawrence or Vita Vea if those guys are even available, but that's not how NFL teams tend to operate. You could have found defensive tackle help if you tried harder in March, in April. They didn't. The Cowboys love their picks too much. So he's gone. It is what it is. But I don't think you're going to be able to get Clark. They only gave up Clark to get Micah. From Cam Kramer. You like the approach to the pass decker? I think we need to get scheme more targets to the playmakers like Pickens and Turpin. I was fine with it. I don't know. They threw it to the open guy. It's not like they're forcing shots to CeeDee Lamb over and over again into double coverage. He had single coverage. He got open. You throw it to him. He should make the catch. If you want to get a few more touches for Pickens, sure, but he was still third on the team in targets. There was a lot of check down stuff to Ferguson, essentially. Turpin got 4 touches. That's probably realistic for what he's going to do, who he actually is as a player. I don't have that many complaints about the scheme. Next week, maybe I change my mind, but right now, no, I'm fine. Marvin Gaye. Cowboys trade 2 firsts for Myles Garrett. Browns say no. The Browns, that's not happening. Now, if Myles Garrett hadn't gotten paid this offseason, we could have revisited that conversation, but the Browns money whipped him to stay. The Cowboys were not clearly doing that with Micah Parsons. If the Browns, I'm pulling this up right now, if they were to trade away Myles Garrett, they would technically save $3.8 million on the salary cap this year. Next year, their cap hit would go from $24 million for Myles Garrett to $47. A trade of Myles Garrett over the next 2 seasons has 60. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong number there. That's my bad. They would actually eat $67 million in dead money this year. A trade of Myles Garrett right now would incur $86 million in dead cap for the Browns. 0 chance. They will never do it. So what is your confidence level overall in this Dallas Cowboys pass rush? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Scale it for me from 1 to 10. What is your confidence level in this current group of Cowboys pass rushers? Daniel M. I was proud of the defense last night, particularly in the second half, but morale victories are not going to cut in the NFL. We definitely need to win next week against the Giants. Yeah. All the goodwill you might be feeling about, hey, we played better against the Eagles, it all goes out the window if you can't beat the Giants. You better win that game or else. Nate Rosario, trade Tolbert, free agent or trade receiver, linebacker, edge, corner, safety, fire the DC. I'm mad. Jalen Carter spit on Dak. Dak didn't do nothing. This is a little bit overreactionary. I'm not gonna. You're not gonna. You can find a safety. Like I thought your corners played well. Like Elam got beat one real time. That's fine. I would love to find a free agent linebacker. Like there's nobody out there that's good. The receivers aren't good. Like you can trade Tolbert if you get something sure and just promote Flournoy. I'm not going to complain about that. But like you're not going to fire Eberflus. So explore options. Sweet. Not that many guys available. E&E Gaming. Will Pickens become more involved in the passing game? I think so. I mean, the reality is, with the way that the Eagles chose to line up their corners on a pretty consistent basis, I'm double-checking my facts here right now. They lined up Quinyon Mitchell. I'm looking at the snap count details here. They lined him up on the detailed. Shoot. I watching live, it sure felt like they put Quinyon Mitchell a lot on the outside. They kind of split him 50-50, but I thought Mitchell was lined up a pretty good amount against Pickens. And CeeDee Lamb was open. And by the way, Pickens, we should give him credit. He drew the 50-yard DPI penalty? Like, Pickens doesn't get interfered with, and now he's 4 catches for 75 yards, and we all feel good about it. Right? We have Cowboys videos for you each and every single day here on the Cowboys Report. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Videos each and every single day. Fernando Navarro, is Tyreek Hill a possibility? Short answer is no, he's not. It's just he might be a trade possibility for somebody else, but the Cowboys have their top 2 receivers. I kind of don't want to put Tyreek Hill into a George Pickens locker room. If we're going to do culture stuff, that ain't Tyreek Hill, I'm sorry. So I don't think he's a possibility for the Cowboys, not after the GP3 trade. Last one for the great Duke Bothers. I want to shout out Eberflus. He's come off a pretty crazy roller coaster. Fired his head coach, DC spot in Dallas, loses best player, first half choke, second half good. Yeah, you can pick and choose the good and the bad from Eberflus. I thought it was definitely better in the second half. I think there's still some room for improvement, but better does help the Cowboys, and hopefully that kind of continues. I want to see some more stunts up front. I think that would very much benefit the Cowboys.